Yo, what is up, everyone? Good evening. Rob Orr here. It is right on 8:30. Wanted to come in here and talk to you. The times when I'm doing these lives is an experiment for me. I'm learning as I go, right? I'm trying to figure out when the best times are, when the when works, when doesn't. I do enjoy it, not gonna lie. I love getting on in the morning because my brain is much more fresh than it is right now. So I've been at it for a while today, doing my thing and trying to get ready for Black Friday. So there's a lot of stuff that I still got to do. But I'm getting there. It's a progress. It's a process, I should say. Progress is being made, but it's definitely a process. So if you're watching live with me right now, I would really appreciate it. Tell me where you're tuning in from. That would be really awesome. Would love to hear where I'm reaching people, and let me know also that I'm coming through loud and clear. So anyway, wanted to come in here and just say good evening to you guys and talk about something that I've I figured out and that I wanted to talk about because I think it's a really important thing for us as online business owners, right? There's so many of us now that are doing the online business thing, and I've got so many people on my profile, so many friends, and number one, I'm grateful for each and every one of you, so thank you. If we're already connected here on Facebook, I really appreciate that. And number two, I wanted to just say that these live sessions are an exercise for me to come and to put a name and a face and a voice to the dude that you see popping up in your stream, on your comments, and all that kind of stuff, so that you guys get a chance to get to know me and I get a chance to know you as well. And then also to just make connections, right? I mean, that's what all of this stuff is all about. So what I wanted to get together with you about tonight is a problem that I've seen pop up a lot in the digital marketing community. And to kind of get into that, I need to tell you a little bit of a backstory. And the story goes like this. When I first got started with this, going back to the time when my daughter, who is now 15 years old, was a tiny little baby. She was one-ish, maybe two. And I was really just getting serious about learning web design and development. I had learned programming as a kid, but I came back to it later in life, and figured out, hey, I really like this stuff. So anyway, but I didn't know what to do. The instructions that you have available to you today are far more extensive than anything that I have ever seen, or ever hoped for to see in the past myself. So I'm trying to figure out all of this stuff on my own, right? So what do? I went and started trying to imitate the other things that I saw, right? I saw, and this is before even WordPress was even really popular. I started with WordPress around version 2.7, I believe, and now we're on version 5.5. So if it tells you anything, I've been doing this for a while. But anyway, it was all about trying to model the things that I saw, right? And I quickly figured out and found out that, yes, I could recreate the things that I was seeing and the things that I was doing, but it really wasn't what I wanted it to be, right? Because then my stuff just looked like everybody else's stuff. And back then, it really wasn't very much. There wasn't a whole lot to it. But that's what I was doing. I'm modeling, I'm imitating. And I had old versions of my personal website that were, very rudimentary, to say the very least. And so so I ended up buying this course, right? It was a course on a long since dead technology called Flash. And it was by a long shot, it was the first course that I ever bought because I wanted something that would look, quote unquote, flashy, right? That's what Flash was. JavaScript has taken over for what all that stuff was. It was, the programming language that powered Flash was called ActionScript, and I actually learned quite a bit about that at the time. But I really never got into the swing of things just by modeling the things that I was seeing, because there was a kit that was available out there on the ASP.NET programming language and platform. There was they called it, I think it was called the personal site kit or something like that. So but that was what I was using. And so I'm learning all this stuff, and I'm trying to figure out how to replace this with that, and doing, some very prehistoric design hacking back in the day. But here's where the problem hit for me. And I alluded to this a couple minutes ago, but the problem really hit hard for me because my stuff looked just like everybody else's stuff. And there was nothing out there that was unique about me. And, there was nothing about any of the stuff that I was doing that stood out from the crowd. And that was a huge letdown for me, because I don't know about you, but I like to be that guy who's a little bit off the beaten path. I'm a little bit different and a little bit non-traditional across the board. If you know me in my personal life in any way, I'm definitely one of those guys who's a little bit different, right? So, but I spent all this time trying to figure this stuff out. And it wasn't until I really embraced the idea of branding and really digging deep to make something unique that things started to come together for me. And then, so once I figured that out, once I started figuring out how to create my own platform, things started to fall in place for me. I moved away from the ASP.NET platform, moved over to a couple different platforms, actually. The platform's not really all that important, but the things that I was doing was, I was taking steps to carve out a slice for myself in the online space where I was doing things that looked different than what everybody else was doing. So, one thing leads to another. And then my whole career took a massive shift. I stopped because when I had started doing all this stuff, I had been doing I've been working in sales. I graduated from Florida State in 2000 with a degree in psychology. And I went into sales because there's not a lot of other things that you can do with a degree in psychology. And my psych major friends out there could probably attest to that. But after I graduated from FSU, that's what I did. And I did it for a while. And but I figured out that that's not where I wanted to be. So once I figured out, though, this branding thing, it really shifted gears for me to be able to move into my own space and to carve out a space for me. So the projects that had been hobbies for me for the last couple of years started becoming professional projects. People were starting to pay me money to build them unique places online, right? And then what was a freelance business turned into a career. I went and did, became the senior developer and lead developer, in agencies. And now I'm the director of design and development for a big communications company here in Tallahassee. And I've been doing this for the last 10 years. And I've had enormous success in being able to, not only for myself, but for the clients that I work with, to build things for them that ultimately make them more successful online. And what I mean by that is this. So for instance, one of the first things that we sit down and we talk about when I am working with a client is we define success, right? We sit down and we figure out all the different things that are going on with their business. But one of the biggest things we have to figure out is, what does success look like? Because we don't have a clear picture of what success looks like. How are we ever going to hit that target? So we sit down and we talk about how to define success. And never once in any of those conversations have we sat down and come up with a plan to make them look or to feel like somebody else's property, right? We always talk about the things that influence us. We think about the sites that we like. We think about the things that inspire us online, but then we take those things and build a new version of that and make it into something that is distinctly theirs. And that's what I've been really successful with over the years. So how does this all relate to digital marketing, you may be asking? So one of the things that Russell Brunson talks about extensively in the things that he does and the things that he teaches is modeling, right? Find a funnel that works and go and model what they're doing. And then you can, if you do the same things that they're doing, you're ultimately going to be successful. Here's where people are really failing though, is number one, is you're not really modeling. There's way too much copying going on. There's way too much copying happening in the space. So, the thing is, if you want to copy, I don't really care. If you want to copy what somebody else is doing, if you want to copy my website, or if you want to copy something that Russell is doing, some people really get a big chip on their shoulder about that. I don't. And, I'm still going to make you take your site down if you clone me, so don't get me wrong. But the thing is when you are copying and, quote unquote, modeling, you're not making it into something that is uniquely yours. And that's where the biggest problem with this whole online marketing thing comes from. It's a matter of not becoming something unique that stands out from the crowd. Because what happens when you focus on modeling and copying, you become that thing and you don't become what makes you uniquely you. So you don't stand out from the crowd. You actually just blend in with everybody else, right? And so that's where it fails. It fails because you don't look like anything unique, right? There's nothing that about what you're doing online that is your own. And the things that I figured I actually have put together over the last several years, I put together a framework that actually helps to tease these things out, right? It helps to pull the things out that really make something unique and personal for my clients or for you, and that's what I've been very successful with. Now people are paying me, like I said, I started as a freelancer, just trying to figure out how to build one of my first websites so I could share pictures of my daughter with my family. That was one of the very first things that I decided that I wanted to do, was to create this website where my family could go and see pictures of their daughter. This is long before there were, these super popular image sharing sites, right? Long before any of that stuff. They were out there, but I didn't trust the internet and I didn't want some skeevy pervert to, come and find pictures of my daughter, right? So I had to build my own tool, and it ultimately ended up being something that, it made a whole big difference in where my career went. But that was where it started. It was something that had to be uniquely mine. So that's what I wanted to point out to you guys tonight is, if you're focused on modeling and what you think is working, then if you're too focused on that, you're going to be just like everybody else. Your Facebook profile funnel, is going to look like everybody else's Facebook profile funnel. Your posts and the things that you do are going to look just like everybody else's. There's nothing wrong with similarity, but you don't want to be so similar that somebody can't tell who you are versus somebody else. And it's really, really crazy, So be unique, Be you, be loud, be extra, right? Because in this online space, you have to fight and bite and scratch and claw to get your voice heard above everything else that's going on the internet. There's so many things that are competing for people's attention. You have to be front and center as much as you possibly can. So anyway, that's what I've got for you guys tonight. Just wanted to share that with you. Maybe there's something there that helps you. If you enjoyed it, definitely hit me up with a hashtag live or hashtag replay. If you're watching this on the replay, I really appreciate you coming on live with me here. For those of you who have been with me live, thank you very much. I am most grateful for that. But keep an eye out. Tomorrow morning, we'll be back at it talking again. So until then, you guys take care and have a great night. Bye.